In its quest to provide an open forum for discussion of controversial issues, this station allows hosts and their guests to express themselves without any significant censorship. You are advised that any view expressed by the host or their guest are not necessarily the views of the owners or management of TogiNet Radio, Togi Entertainment, or the Owners Group, Inc.
Motherhood Incorporated proudly presents Military Mom Talk Radio live on TogiNet.com. Co-hosted by Robin Boyd and Sandra Beck, the owner of Motherhood Incorporated. Military Mom Talk Radio is here with a powerful platform for women to discuss their ideas, issues, and concerns with respect to the military lifestyle. Military Mom Talk Radio encourages you to share your experiences of being a military wife and mother. This show is dedicated to educating your family about the many resources that are available in both the public and private sector, and we'll be sharing helpful information from women all over the world. We'll cover everything military, from helping a family member cope with post-traumatic stress disorder, to navigating government programs dealing with family issues, to the struggles of deployment, along with being a working mother both in and out of the home. This is Military Mom Talk Radio, and here are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Hey, military moms. This is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd today. Robin, how are things up in New Hampshire?
Hey, we're doing great. It's a nice day here today. It's finally not raining.
That's right. You guys have had a lot of rain.
Good Lord. We're turning to mold. How about you? What's things doing? You've had the heat.
Oh, we've got like 90 and sunny. It's going to be like this until August. I'm already hating it, and it's not even July.
We've had a little heat wave, and then we went back to pulling out the polar fleece, and then today was just a gorgeous day.
Oh, that's a good thing. Well, today's also a good day because what is today a National Awareness Day of?
Oh, yes, I found a wonderful blog today, and I'll give them a little unsolicited plug. The woman's name is Bobby O'Brien, and I found her through military.com. She writes a blog called offthebase.wordpress.com. And today, Monday, June 27th, is PTSD Awareness Day, established by the Department of Veterans Affairs. And then her blog goes on to list a number of different resources. I just thought it was such a wonderful collection of things, so I think we should probably touch on some of them, seeing that today is PTSD Awareness Day.
I think so, Robin, because one of the things that we know about PTSD, it has, over different wars and different generations, it's had different names, battle fatigue, shell shock. It's not a new concept. It's just, I think, a new name and a kind of a buzzword that's in the industry right now and all over the airwaves. But it's still something that affects an awful lot of our service members and their families. Anybody who serves can have, this situation.
Absolutely. And we also should remember police, fire, all of those service people in those areas certainly have traumatic instances as well. And if one of us who knows a policeman certainly knows a little bit of what they've gone through, and indeed they are experiencing this too. So all of the people, all of our freedom fighters, we should remember. This website had a couple of websites I wanted to just kind of go over. There's some typical ones like the VA Office of Mental Health Services, and that's mentalhealth.va.gov. There's another website that I found that's called braveveterans.org. It's a mental wellness resource for service members, veterans, and their military families. And this specifically seems to target some veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan war. There's a couple more. There's one called homebaseprogram.org, the Red Sox Foundation and Mass General Hospital Home Base Program provides clinical care and support services in the New England area. Gee, why did I happen to pick that one out?
I don't know.
It's my backyard.
Well, but some really cool stuff comes out of, what, not obscure, not that New Hampshire's obscure, but obscure places. Like I think of Fuzzy Manning and, and his alternative at PTS, he doesn't like the D, so we're not going to say the D.
Yeah, we won't do the D.
We won't do the D. His PTS stuff, and he's, I think, out of Michigan, and he's got a really good Facebook fan page.
Absolutely. There's another standard that a lot of information is located at the Vietnam Veterans of America website. That's VVA.org. There's another one called warriorcare.mil, a blog that provides wounded, ill, injured, and transitioning service members and their families with information on programs and initiatives. Another one is a 501c3 nonprofit called VeteransOnDeck.org. This is a PTSD clinician and researcher site to complement evidence-based on psychotherapy and some opportunities for social interaction and community reintegration. And another one, I'm not sure of our time here, Real Warriors Campaign, and that is realwarriors.net, is a multimedia public education campaign sponsored by the Defense Centers of Excellence for Psychological Health and Traumatic Brain Injury to encourage help-seeking behavior among service members and veterans with invisible wounds. What an interesting, that's just a better way of putting it, isn't it? Invisible wounds. And I think this is the type of thing also that helps families, because it's not just the person who served, but as we all know, it is the families who are experiencing the trauma as well, because they are the ones also feeling the impact of what our service people have gone through.
I love how you put that, the invisible wound, because so many times we've done so many PTSD-based shows, whether it's for, Freedom Dogs. Remember we had Freedom Dogs on, and, people who are listening today can go back and listen to that through iTunes, or they can go through, TogiNet's site or Military Mom Talk Radio site to pull up these shows, because they've got a lot of information, and we really try to provide, there's so many different treatments out there and so many people with issues, pertaining to, our current war. And more importantly, though, is the identification, Robin. I think one thing I want people to take away from today is that, PTSD is an injury. It's an injury on the inside. You may not see it like a missing limb or, some scar that is an outward manifestation of something.
Right.
But it doesn't make it any less damaging. And I think anybody can relate to, in layman's term, like having a fright, like somebody startles you and, you have that feeling. And one of the things I learned from listening to all the PTSD experts that we've had on the air with us this year is that feeling comes up and that feeling recurs. And I think, put in that perspective, we can all recognize how that must be. Now take it and, put it to the 10,000th degree based on whatever was experienced, from a car accident to a, ID explosion.
Sure.
It just doesn't look like anything from the outside. Right. And I think that's what makes it so hard for everybody.
Right. And when it's intangible, then therefore it's hard to embrace it and grasp it and deal with it. It's not just taking an antibiotic and getting rid of an infection. It is something to process. It's something to deal with, and it's something that will change that person on the other side. I know Lisa Kamen on Harvesting Happiness had an interesting guest named Andy Brandy, Sergeant Andy Brandy, and his point is you will be changed when you come back. There's just no getting around it. So stop trying to be the person that you were before. You need to move forward as the person you are now. And
so does everybody else around you. I think
exactly.
That makes it really hard. Somebody goes away, they come back, and now they're a different person. Everybody's got to adjust, not just the person that's been through that experience.
Indeed. I'm going to try to share this blog and pull it over to our website, militarymomtalkradio.com, because there again, there was a number of websites that are such wonderful resources. It's just a great collection, and there again, there's also a link to click on for things that someone who is around a person experiencing PTSD or the civilian community. There's some helpful information for that too. So I would definitely like to share Bobby O'Brien's words and pull it on over to ours and spread it around, because indeed PTSD Awareness Day shouldn't be just today, it should be every day.
It should be every day. And, that goes in nicely, Robin, ties in nicely with our guest coming up, our featured guest today. She is a woman who has been compelled, for lack of a better word, to publish stories where people haven't historically spoken out. And we know from other battles, a lot of people don't write about shell shock or battle fatigue or their experiences, and people are just starting to recognize these things. And she's a lady that's given voice to a lot of different issues, and we're hoping that by the end of today's show, that a military person might feel compelled to write about these experiences so that we can open up dialogue. We can look at a book and go, wow, I feel the same way, or this happened to me. Because when we speak out, that's the only way that things can change. It's the only way we can help each other and help ourselves a lot of times is to talk about it. And she creates a lot of books that are impactful to women.
I am so looking forward to meeting our guest, Candice Sandy.
Yeah, Candice Sandy, and she was a former Simon & Schuster employee, which is a big publishing house out of New York, and they put together these stories called Souls of My Sisters. Black women break their silence, tell their stories, and heal their spirits, which really does go hand in hand with what we're talking today. And
Perfect.
They have, worked with Patti LaBelle and Mary J. Blige. They're just they're really great, and I'm so excited to have them on the show with us today. For those of you just joining us, for those of you just joining us, my name is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd, and we are welcoming Candice Sandy of Souls of Our Sisters. And when we come back from the break, we are going to talk about these impactful books and talk about how military families can have a voice.
Are you a military mom looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? Well, that's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd. And we'll be right back after these.
I am not the woman I used to be. I'm free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet. This is your chance, ladies, to hear stories of hope and healing from someone who's been there. Someone who has fought back from the horrors of incest. Minister Diane's innocence was stolen from her in the land of alcoholism and mental illness, which led to her being emotionally, physically, and sexually abused by her parents. Yet in spite of this trauma, she has gone on to become a successful wife, mother, registered nurse, and minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I'm not the woman I used to be. I'm Free is a straight-up show to enlighten you and to lighten your load. Do not let the weight of this world or the things that have happened to you control your life. For more on the show and Diane and her book, The Story of Me, email her directly from her show page here on TogiNet. Then, join us for I'm Not the Woman I Used to Be. I'm Free with Minister Diane Jones. Monday nights at 10, 9 Central on TogiNet.com.
In the healthcare industry today, most of us are left in the dark when our doctors talk to us about our health and wellness. It seems that they don't have enough time to be informative and give us the options we deserve. Are you frustrated with today's medical advice as I am?
Join the Medical Insider with Danny Walker and Dr. Richard Powell as they discuss the insider look at various therapies, medications, supplements, and much, much more. We will bring you the cutting-edge information regarding your healthcare and how you can take control of your healthcare decisions by not being fooled but being informed. Danny Walker and Dr. Richard Powell will be joined by experts in various fields throughout the healthcare industry, and they'll uncover the information that you should know about when it comes time to making those crucial decisions.
Don't be fooled. Be informed with the Medical Insider every Wednesday at 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central.
Put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com. Covering topics to help on the home front with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Hey, everyone. This is Robin Boyd. Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio. Sandra Beck and I are really excited about our guest today. And Sandra, you know what it's like when two girlfriends get together. We can chit-chat and we can talk about accomplishing anything in the world, but it sometimes takes some extra effort and somebody extra special to not just talk about it over coffee or a glass of wine, but to really make it happen. And our guest, Candice Sandy, was just that. She and her girlfriend, Dawn Marie Daniels, searched the bookshelves to find smart, helpful information, and were not finding it. And they were compelled to compile these stories in Souls of My Sister. Black women break their silence, tell their stories, and heal their spirits. Candice, are you here?
I am, and I am just so happy to be here, Robin and Sandra. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Where did it all start? You gals were high school friends.
Yeah, we certainly were. And I, while attending college at night, I started working at Prentice Hall Press, which is a division of Simon & Schuster.
Mm-hmm.
And I always loved books, and to really be honest, my very first job was a page at the New York City Library, and the one right on Fifth Avenue in New York, and so I've always loved books, and I ended up working for a publishing company, and being a very good friend as Dawn is to myself, I asked her to come on board. There was a position opening, and we had separate tracks. I maintained a track in marketing sales, and Dawn was in editorial, and she took a chance and signed Iyanla Vanzant, who is a New York Times best-selling author who recently actually appeared on Oprah 10 years ago and then reappeared in one of the last shows. So, it's about taking that leap of faith and kind of following your passion.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's how it all started in the very beginning. And then later on, Dawn and I decided that in corporate America, we just didn't like the way women were treating one another, and the men in our lives weren't happy for us. And so while things were going well career-wise, we were just like, why are we unhappy? What's going on? We couldn't figure it out. We were in our 20s, and so we're like, I want to figure out why is that person that way. Let's get their story. And it actually, the very first person I spoke to, she wasn't in the book, but I had interviewed her for something else, was Pam Grier, who played all the Foxy Brown characters.
Yeah.
And so she had become this big sexual icon, but the real reason she did the movies was it paid the tuition at the time for her attending UCLA, which was $500. And she had no idea later on that it would be utilized as like exploitation, or people would have, controversy around it. And I said, everybody has a reason and a season, and let's find that out. And that's how we started with Souls of My Sisters. We just wanted to learn for our own selves.
So it was really a personal journey, that you were able to push ahead using your professional skills really to meet some. You've got some amazing women in this book.
Yeah, we did. And you know what? So many people said, how did you get these women to tell you? Some of them have confided at the time they had not told their husbands or their family members. And I said, I asked. No one asked them before. I just asked. I know. It couldn't be that simple, right? I asked them. And they knew that it was coming from a genuine place, and they also knew that by sharing their story that they would be helping other women get through whatever dark place or space they were in, and that was enough for them.
That is so true when you stop and think. There are so many times that we are not going to just stand on the street corner and say, hey, I just experienced this. But yet when somebody comes up to you and asks, what do you know about this, or how do you feel about that, or have you ever, whatever, that's when it opens the door and opens the flow, and there it comes.
You are absolutely right. We are programmed as women. It doesn't matter what your background is. We're programmed to say, hi, how are you, Robin? How are you, Sandra? I'm fine, right?
That's true. We don't have to think. So true.
Yeah, and really and truly we're not. But you feel you don't want to burden people, or you're ashamed, or
who would be interested in me? Who would be interested in me? I've encouraged so many people to start blogging, and they'll say, well, who would want to read something about me? But you never know what tender spot you're going to touch by telling your story that someone else is going to need to get them through, like you say, that dark place.
You are absolutely correct. Everyone has a compelling story to tell, everyone. And the fact that when we would go out on tours and meet with women, and before I signed your book, I would ask about you. I would ask the woman, well, tell me about you. And they're like, me? I'm nothing. I'm just a mother, or they would just start shrinking away. It didn't matter where we were. I'm like, well, no, you're more than a mom. Tell me what makes you, what gets you happy. And I've had so many women say, I don't know. I'm like, wow.
But I think that happens to all of us, especially at, different points in our life, Candace. When I was asked that recently, because I'm really good at appearing in person as, like, Sandra, the radio show host, Sandra, the company owner. There's, like, that mantle that you put on. It's like, to me, it's a wig. I'm like, oh, I'm a big girl wig, I go in and, I'm all dressed up. But the minute you strip all that veneer away, and, recently I was at a party in my local town here, and one of the moms came up, and she's like, hi. And I'm like, hi. And she's like, hi, I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, I'm so-and-so. And there was no need for any of those, well, look what I do, look what I make, look what I have, look where I go. That thing that happens, when you go out. And it was very real. And I was standing there like a stump. The social skills, apparently, to just have a conversation with someone, but I think it happens to all of us.
It really does. And even having a small conversation with another woman at a local town party or get-together, it might inspire that person because of the load that they're carrying. And I know a lot of military moms and women in the military. I have such respect for this group of women, because they're not only carrying their personal load, but they're also carrying a greater load. And also, to be able to still wake up every day and deal with either your husband being deployed or you being deployed, and managing the family, keeping it together, managing all the emotions, all the goodbyes, all of that, and still wake up and do the laundry or whatever needs to get done. I mean, I just really applaud them. And somewhere in that, and all of what is their lives, sometimes I don't get a chance to really talk about it.
They don't, and that's what I'm hopeful, Candace, that you will bring to the community. You know, because we hear all these stories. I get letters from women. I get women who call me or email me and Robin asking for advice. And the one thing I want to say, and one thing I'm hoping that someone will come forward to you and tell you her story, is what happens when a mom serves. You know, it's like when the husband goes off to war. As a culture, we're all used to that. We're like, oh, the husband's going to serve, the wife's, you know, going to do her home front thing, and, you know, it's all taken care of. But then now you have a mom that goes off to fight, goes off to battle, and she leaves her kids, and instead of everybody going, ooh, you're a hero, a lot of the stuff I hear and a lot of the letters I get are like, how did you leave your children? That somehow you're not a good mother anymore. And it's, Robin, you've heard the same thing. It's really...
Absolutely.
It's just, it's unreal out there, and I hope that somebody listening today, I hope that somebody will contact you, Candace, and you guys can help bring some of these stories forth, because we need to change this perception. We need to change, and we need to applaud these women, you know, who are, I looked at the 143 women who have been killed in Iraq. These are amazing women. They're, you know, ground supply people. They're nurses. They're helicopter pilots. They're amazing women in their own right, but nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And we have a book called Tears to Triumph, Women Learn to Live, Love, and Thrive. And I hope this story, and I don't know if I'll be able to read a little bit in the next break, but we have a woman, Patrina Lee, and she is actually... And we had to work really hard to get her into this book, but she's an active duty soldier with a rank of Sergeant First Class in the Army. Mm-hmm. And her husband is a second lieutenant. His name is Carly, and they have 2 kids in college. And she actually talks about going to war. And so maybe later on I'll read a snippet of it. But when I got a chance to talk with her and get her story, I just was blown away by not only was she deployed, but her husband was deployed at the same time.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Candace, on the other side of our break, we do want to hear a little piece of one of your books. We would love to hear a little bit more about this gal and also a little bit more about what you have. We're listening today to Candice Sandy, and she is Souls of Our Sister, part of a dynamic duo. And if you have not heard the first part of this show, please go to iTunes or militarymomtalkradio.com. We'll be back after these messages.
Are you a military mom looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? Well, that's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd. And we'll be right back after these.
LinkedIn. It's a great tool, and Carol McManus is the LinkedIn lady. With the LinkedIn Lady Show, Wednesday afternoons at 5, 4 Central on TogiNet.com. The LinkedIn Lady Show is here to show you and your business how every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose that can benefit you. The LinkedIn Lady will have interviews each week with a variety of guests, such as business owners who will showcase their businesses and talk about how they're using social media to stay in touch with not only customers, but to attract new relationships that become customers. Other guests will be experts in social media who will speak to the use of Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google, Plaxo, Squidoo, and of course, LinkedIn. For more on Carol and the show, check out her website, LinkedInLady.com. Join us, won't you? Every Wednesday afternoon at 5, 4 Central. It's the LinkedIn Lady Show with host Carol McManus. On TogiNet.com. In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi. Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi. Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
There ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com. Covering topics to help on the home front with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Hey, Military Moms. This is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Robin Boyd today, and we have just an outstanding guest today. I invite you guys to check out her website, Souls, plural, soulsofmysisters.plural.com, and this is the brainchild behind Candice Sandy and Dawn Marie Daniels, and Candace is our guest today. For those of you who missed the first segment or the opening segments, you can pick us up on TogiNet. We're also on iTunes under Military Mom Talk Radio. We are also now recently available on iTunes France, iTunes Germany, and there were a couple of other ones under there that I'm really very excited about, Robin. That means that we're doing what we should do.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been really great.
Bravo. Bien
Bravo. Where is iTunes Italy? Bravo. Come on.
We'll have to start learning different languages now. Get out the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah, boy. And we get some fun mail in. We got some mail in. We got mail in from Okinawa. We got mail in from Fort Belvoir. We got, we've gotten a lot of stuff from the Army. And I want to say, where are our Marine friends? Because we used to get a lot of Pendleton stuff. That seems to have died off as we go on, our world rampage.
Isn't this a wonderful era that we're in, that we can reach out, that Candace's story can get to so many people across the globe, not even just down the street or down at her local Barnes & Noble, but everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world. We're everywhere, Robin. That's what we do. That's who we are. So, Candace, you've got this wonderful book. You've got actually a lot of wonderful books, but you wanted to share with us an excerpt from one of your books. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the story around that excerpt and then share the excerpt with us?
Absolutely. This story is called A Mother at War by Patrina Lee, who is a active duty soldier with a rank of sergeant first class in the United States Army. And she's actually, her husband is a second lieutenant, and they have 2 children now in college. And she shared with us her story about being deployed, but not only was she deployed, her husband was deployed as well.
At the same time.
At the same time.
Wow.
Yeah. So I thought it would be interesting to share her story, and hopefully we can inspire someone else to share their experiences. So I'll just read a quick little snippet. So in February of 2004, my unit in the United States Army was about to be deployed. Someone organizes these farewell ceremonies that are supposed to honor the soldiers before we go. But it is, for me, one of the hardest things you have ever seen. Their small children saying goodbye as strong mothers and fathers choke back tears while they hug their families and say goodbye. People make thousands of promises to get home safe, and as we travel away from our families, we make daily prayer requests asking God to help make sure that those promises were not broken. Most people question how my husband Carl and I could handle both being deployed to war. We have 3 kids, a handsome son, and 2 lovely daughters. We're blessed, so certainly it wasn't easy when we both knew that we'd be sent off to war. But in the beginning, I wanted to go with my husband. I rationalized that our family would have to deal with the war for only 1 year and not 2 if we went at the same time. It didn't work out that way. My husband's unit went first, and my unit stayed behind. I relied on my parents to help me with the kids while my husband was gone, and when he was about to return, we got some very bad news. My unit would be replacing his. When he would be coming back home, they would be shipping my unit out. It would mean that by the time our family would be reunited, my husband and I would have gone 2 years without seeing each other. I was depressed, but my husband, who's a special kind of soldier, was determined. And so what her husband did was he appealed to the Army, and actually they were able to spend 3 weeks together as a family in the 2 years, which was, pretty good. And I wanted to, I know, so tough. And so I thought this would, I wanted to kind of skip down to a part where I think every woman would kind of recognize. So even as we are worried about roadside bombs and we could hear rounds going off, I thought of my own children and some very special steps that I was missing. My son had graduated from high school in the summer of my tour of duty. It was hard on him, but quite frankly, it was harder on me. I felt like the young soldier missing her child's first steps. It's okay, Mommy said. I will walk for my college graduation. That's going to be a big deal. But for me, it's all a big deal. I hated to miss such an important day in my son's life. But like driving through volatile areas, a soldier does what a soldier has to do. It's hard for me to think of him walking across that stage without having me to cheer him on. It's even harder, though, for me to imagine him not having a stage to walk across or a building that's safe enough to hold a high school class in. It's never easy for a mother to make those kinds of sacrifices, regardless if she appears in an apron or an army fatigue. And even though I was at war, I knew God was there with us. So, and then she goes on to really she's back home and talks about how although she loves the military, her best tour of duty is being a mom.
It's probably the hardest tour of duty, too, sometimes.
It is.
It's easier to stay home than go to, or what is it? It's easier to go to war than stay home, one mom told me one time. But, what's interesting that you say about when you're speaking in her voice from her point of view, we have so many different points of view in this world that we really haven't had that much historically. I know there were women that served in World War II and in Vietnam, but I think this is the first war that really people are starting to see that there's a whole issue when it's your wife going off, things we haven't dealt with really before, or if it's the mom, going off on deployment. But what's interesting is, to go along with what you're talking about, is I was reading a blog online written by a mom who was wife of a career Marine, and she had sent her husband off on countless deployments, but everything changed when she sent her eldest son.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And there's just, and it was a really compelling, and I wish I had it, Robin. I'm not as good as you to remember to bring these things on. I just read them with my box of Kleenex, bawling away on the couch at like 11:30 at night, going, this is the first time in history we've had the perspective of, with one war, mothers serving, mothers sending off their sons, mothers sending off their husbands. I don't think that's ever been done in history that I know of.
You're absolutely right.
And it is so touching to hear how completely she just pours out these emotions and just stating them as fact. It wasn't that she was trying to do anything but just tell what's going through her mind and what's going through her heart. So touching and so moving.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of that Melissa Seligman book that was, so earth-shattering when it came out. It's a book, Candace, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the day after he left for Iraq, and she wrote very openly, very poignantly, and very brutally honest, I thought, Robin, about
definitely.
What happened to her family. Her little daughter's banging her head against the wall, not knowing how to deal with the fact that, they don't have a concept of time when Dad's going to come home. And, I go to Deployment Kids. I go to a lot of these different sites, to try to help callers or people who have written into us with certain things or direct them in areas. And there's so much that goes on in the family as a whole on a deployment, much less what happens, and this is one thing, Candace, I think is really cool about you, because you specialize in your stuff is women of color, but we're all different. I'm a white European household versus, maybe a black Southern household or a different, we all have different ways we cope with things, just to add that on to the icing on the cake.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. But what I have encountered is that when we have events, and actually in some of our books, we have included women of all ethnicities, because when we first did Souls of My Sisters, different women came to us and said, well, we also want to share our story. And so pain, hurt, loss, hardship, any of those things are universal, and we can learn so much from one another.
That's true. Fear is universal. It doesn't have a color.
It does not have a color. And we do cope differently, but when you open yourself up to learn about someone else's experience and maybe take lessons from that, there's like something magical that happens. And so here's the thing. With all the women that have participated in our different books, we have the Souls of My Young Sisters, we have Souls Revealed and Tears to Triumph and Souls of My Sisters and other books we've published. They all thought that they were giving a gift by, I'll share my story. But when they've ever spoken publicly about it, they realize that they're being healed. So the more that you get rid of whatever it is, the shame, or you talk about the issue, there's a neutralization that happens. And so it's this really wonderful exchange. And so all of the military moms and people that are serving in the military, I know that sometimes you may feel like you're completely alone, that you're the only person that truly understands what's going on in your life, and no one really knows, but we have compassion for what you're going through, and other women are interested in hearing your story. And
Candace, I hate to cut you off. We have to go to commercial break, but we're going to bring you back after the break. Our guest today is Candice Sandy, and I want you guys to check out her website, and her books are outstanding. soulsofmysisters.com. Both of them are plural. There's a lot of helpful information there, and I encourage all of you to speak out.
Are you a military mom looking for help in dealing with the system? Keeping the home fires burning? Well, that's what we're here for. It's Military Mom Talk Radio with Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd. And we'll be right back after these.
Do holidays and celebrations get you down and leave you feeling frazzled? Then join Sandy Fowler and her guests on Heart-Filled Holidays every Monday at noon, 11 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Sandy will help you discover the secrets to having the celebrations you've always dreamed of while adding fun and meaning to your life. From Valentine's Day to Christmas to special family events, Sandy Fowler will show you how to put the fun and meaning back into those special days by taking a look at what we can do to turn the upcoming holidays into cherished memories and show us how to allow it to intertwine with everyday life. For more on the show, Sandy, and to receive Sandy's Holiday Happiness Booklet, go to heartfilledholidays.com. Then get set to discover the secrets to creating happy holidays and happy everydays by joining Sandy Fowler and her guests on Heartfilled Holidays every Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time on TogiNet.com.
Adoption, Journey to Motherhood with Mary Beth Wells. Monday mornings at 9, 8 a.m. Central. This is not your typical show about adopting children. This is a shared experience from Mary Beth's heart. Mary Beth will be talking about and covering all the issues pertaining to adoption, including adopted parents, birth parents, adoptees, foster care, and infertility. So, how did your journey to motherhood begin? Or are you still on the path? We want to hear all voices sharing their stories and talking about those issues that are so dear to our hearts. You see, Mary Beth is a birth mom that relinquished a child for adoption and ended up coming full circle by adopting 2 beautiful little girls from Guatemala. And that led to her starting a doll company about adopting baby dolls from all around the world so that children could choose their own doll and learn about that doll's heritage. For more on Mary Beth and her dolls, go to PreciousBabyDolls.com. Then join us for Adoption, Journey to Motherhood with Mary Beth Wells. Monday mornings at 9, 8 a.m. Central. Remember, the heart knows no boundaries.
We'll put a boot in your ass. It's the American way. Hey, Uncle Sam, put your name at the top of his list, and the Statue of Liberty started shaking.
Welcome back to Military Mom Talk Radio on TogiNet.com. Covering topics to help on the home front with help from those who know how the system works and how to work the system. It's more fun than a sale at the BX. Now let's get back to it. It's Military Mom Talk Radio. Here again are your hosts, Sandra Beck and Robin Boyd.
Hey, military moms, this is Robin Boyd. I'm here today with Sandra Beck, and we are enjoying a wonderful hour with Candice Sandy. She and her co-author, Dawn Marie Daniels, have written a beautiful, or actually sort of compiled, I guess we could say, a beautiful collection of stories called Souls of My Sisters. And I want to ask you, Candice, are you and Dawn physically near each other, or are you a bi-coastal relationship?
Oh, no. We are. The great thing about us is we live in the same city.
Oh, perfect.
So we do get to see each other, not as much as we'd want to, but we have an incredible sisterhood.
But I can only imagine that once you've begun something like this, it must be a perpetual, ongoing, okay, we've got another collection ready to fly. I'm sure people now are connecting with you and saying, oh, I read this, let me tell you about that. I'm sure that you're getting an awful lot of people now tuning in and saying, here's my story.
We do. We always need more. We're actually putting together a book, a collection of stories of women who want to share their walk with faith. So it's called Souls of My Faithful Sisters, and so we're looking for women for that collection, and we have 2 more planned. So it's always fun to talk with women and hear their stories. Dawn and I just love doing that, and especially when we go out and travel. So you just log on to our website and email us, and we'd be happy to, see if we can fit you into one of our collections.
Wow. Soulsofmysisters.com, right?
Yes.
That's where people should go?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you do speaking engagements?
We do. We absolutely do. Do you know that's one of the with all that comes with putting an imprint together and books of this magnitude, that is the thing we love the most. Wow. We travel all around the country, and we are actually signed to the America's Program Bureau. And so we love, going out and speaking. So if anyone wants us to come and talk, we're happy to do that.
How fun is that? Now, I'm on your site here, Souls of Our Sisters. Love the logo.
Oh, thank you. Thank
I'm
you
a
so
big,
much.
butterfly person, and I love the way you have the 3 different women with 3 different body types, all looking fabulous. But where would somebody go if they wanted to share a story? Because there's lots to do here.
Okay, they would email us. They would go to to the contact and send us an email.
Okay, perfect. So go to the contact page if you have stories that you want to send to Candace or Dawn Marie, her partner, who's not on the air with us today, but she's no less important, and we want to make sure we give her the honor and props that she is due. This is a great website. There's so many good things on here for people to do. And for those of you that are listening today, it is soulsofmysisters.com, and it's really there's just a lot to read. There's a lot of interesting things on there, and you guys are really cool. I mean, can I just, go off topic for a second, Robin? Because, part of, I know on Motherhood Talk Radio, our sister show, we feature fabulous women, and on Military Mom, we feature fabulous military-related people. But Candace, you rock, man. You're pretty cool. You were communications director for the U.S. House of Representatives. You were communications director for Congress. I mean, these are not exactly, chump change kind of positions.
Well, first of all, I have to say, I came from Trinidad, which is in the Caribbean, when I was 9 years old, and my family came here for the American dream, and to actually come to this country and then serve a member of Congress for 13 years has been my greatest honor, because I've been able to witness major legislation and lead his media when it comes to everything from 9/11 to so many other things. And I just love America, and I'm just so proud to be a citizen of this country. So that's my plug.
Well, isn't that beautiful?
But it's funny. It's beyond a plug, because look at what we're fighting for. We're fighting for freedom, and here's exactly what our country is founded on. Somebody amazing comes to this soil, wants to be part of this active, participating engine that is the United States. And, I'm a big freedom beater with the freedom of speech. Anybody who listens to me on a regular basis knows I have to pound on that, at least once a month, Robin, right? But this is what we're talking about. You come from another country, you come here, you're educated, you're successful, you're fantastic, and then you become a full contributing member of this society, and that's the patchwork on this American quilt that makes us so amazing and so strong and so powerful and so wonderful. You are the American dream. You are living the American dream, and I'm so impressed by everything that I've read about you and everything that you do, and that you come on our show today to share your experiences and to share this opportunity for our military wives and mothers to have a voice. You're just fantastic. What can I say?
And I just thank you. And if I have just 2 more seconds to say this, we have a family member, a very close family member that served in the military and actually was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah, PTSD.
And I heard earlier you were saying that today was National Awareness Day.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you that prior to the centers that we're lucky that so many people recognized that needed to be established, we didn't know what it was and just knew he changed. And I cannot tell you how it split our family apart and then brought us back together. And so I completely understand what people are going through. It was probably one of the most painful things I've ever had to witness as a family. But on the other side of it, if you're going through it as a family member, which is painful to watch, there is hope and there's happiness on the other side if you stick together as a family and come up with a solution that best suits the person that you love. So I'm just a testament to that.
Well, and Candace, we have a couple minutes. Can you tell us some of the things, in your opinion, that worked for your family? Not to divulge anything personal, but just that kind of the best practices that you felt worked in that situation that can help guide someone else, because we know all families are different, and we don't know everything about this issue.
Yeah. Well, what what happens is that each family member will get the awareness that this is truly happening at a different time, and whoever finds out, whoever recognizes it first before there is a diagnosis, what's happening is that what happened in my case and happens in other families is the rest of the family gets upset with you acknowledging this is really happening.
Yeah.
And so that's where the breakup in the family begins. And then
so the person who has the awareness comes under fire.
They come under fire, and it's of course, and that was me, very painful. And then as the time went on, what I did was I enlisted the help of other professionals, mental health professionals, who gave me advice on, okay, this is what you need to do. You need to sit down with your family. You need to have a meeting. These things are happening. Be able to catalog all the different situations. And then when it became explosive, I had a plan in place on where to go, and because I was already consulting with everyone. And I was lucky enough to tap my resources, because what happens is that we think we can handle everything on our own, and we can't. But if you go to a professional or a resource center and you say, I don't know how to do this, can you show me? And they'll take the time and say, okay, this is the plan. So I had a whole circle of people that were supporting me, and it took 2 years to get a resolution, and we finally were able to do it. And then another 2 years to kind of solve the breakup that happened with our family.
That's really important what you said. The things that I heard that I want to repeat for our listeners today is that there was a circle of support for you. That it's not just one person. It's not a spouse. It's not just one shrink. It's not just one family counselor. You had a team of people working on this. And the other thing that I heard you say is that it takes time. You're talking 2 years to do one of these things, and then another 2 years to heal some of the rifts that happened in your family.
Absolutely. I think if I was stronger, and I can admit this, if I was stronger, it would have taken a lot less time. But because I was writing books and doing all these other things, I wasn't able to, stand up 100%.
Yeah, but you're also not a PTSD expert. Do you know what I mean? It's like, we've got experts trying to make this diagnosis. And here's Candace, Wonder Woman, going, well, I couldn't make a diagnosis.
We could go on probably for another whole hour. This is just so fascinating. Candace, you are just an incredibly inspirational person, and we are so fortunate that we've had you today. I want to encourage everyone to go to soulsofmysister.com. Candice Sandy, you've been a delight. I hope we can chat with you again real soon. Please, everyone, turn to militarymomtalkradio.com so you can listen to this show as well as any of our other shows. We're also on iTunes, and we're also here on our home station of TogiNet.com on our show page. And we want to welcome everybody next week. We won't be here live, but we will be here in spirit. We've got a musical collection for you next week. We'd love for you to celebrate the 4th with us. After all of your picnics and all of your celebrations, we think you could sit back and listen to some great music with Sandra and me.
I am. I'm going to listen to the show from Lake Havasu. I'll be sitting in my boat, with a beer in my hand, my feet in the water, going, look how good we are on the air, Robin.
That's it. We do it so well, no matter where we are. So everyone have a wonderful 4th of July. We'll catch you on the flip side of the holiday, and catch us next week for the tunes. Bye-bye.